I'm trying to find the bridge. Where's that confounded bridge? I'm trying to find the bridge. Where's that confounded bridge?
Hopefully we cut this out.
Where's that
Hopefully I remember to. Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. It is Sound Lab Studios, and we got the full crew on this one for our Led Zeppelin series. We're going to be going over Led Zeppelin's 5th studio album today, Houses of the Holy.
Yeah, I was confused about the album cover. Why are there naked children on the album? That's a little weird.
Okay, so we'll get to that in the background information, but it's based off some kind of science fiction novel, apparently.
Well, then you open the gatefold, and it's even weirder to me. But
yeah, it's like a guy holding up.
Is he sacrificing somebody? I don't know.
It's like what's going on here?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's going on here?
I have no idea.
Do I need to call
so
Charles for
small.
Anyways,
I thought we were reviewing a day at the races.
Twice in a row.
I thought we were reviewing Aftermath.
Oh, okay then. Well, track 1, Paint It Black. No, so okay.
Timer down.
A day at the races by Point. Now, getting back on track. Led Zeppelin released their 4th album, huge commercial success. Lots of songs that are still played on the radio this day, sometimes too many times. But now we get to this point in the band's discography, and now we are going through the background information. Background information.
I have quite a little bits today. So,
all right, Professor Breyer.
So I think we kind of briefly mentioned it already, but by this point, Led Zeppelin were pretty much on top of the world. Led Zeppelin 4, big commercial success, touring nonstop, going around the world. And of course, with all this success, of course, there's a lot of excess. And of course, there's a lot more drugs, there's more alcohol, partying. There's even a story of John Bonham crashing a hotel with a motorcycle. And so, yeah, that was the whole thing. But regardless, despite all that, they decided they're finally ready to record a new album. And by this point, they still were using the Rolling Stones mobile studio, but around this time, Jimmy Page and John Paul Jones have also started making their own home studios. And so they started experimenting with that. And with that, they started really branch out into more territories, like even more than before. And you can hear on this album, there's a ton of variety on here, from different influences, which we'll get into. And yeah, of course, they recorded it, they released it. Funny enough, it actually got mixed reviews originally. Got some positive stuff, but there was some negative stuff too. However, commercially, still did insanely well. Went to #1 in both the US and the UK. Went 11 times platinum in the US. And a little other tidbit is that this was the last album they would record under their label Atlantic Records before they would move to their own label, which was Swan Song Records, which we'll probably get into once we get to the next album. But that's some little backstory on the album. In terms of the cover, I didn't do that much research into it, but I do know that the place they got the shot is actually a real place. Like you can actually go to these rocks. The only thing that was edited was the sky. It wasn't that orange when they took the photo. Other than that,
I did do some research on the cover. So it's based off of a science fiction novel. It's kind of like a Children of the Corn thing where the kids are evil and are like attacking people. It was designed by Hypnosis, who is the same team that did Dark Side of the Moon, same year too. There are 2 people at Hypnosis, which is funny because one of them is only credited because the other one was the one who originally was tasked with doing the art. he heard the album, didn't like it, and sent them a picture of a tennis court. And the Robert Plant was like, "Why is there a tennis court for our album cover?" And he said, "Because this album is nothing but a bunch of racket." And so he was promptly fired, and the other person at Hypnosis came up with this idea.
Oh man.
That's why it took him like a year, I think.
That's why it took him a year.
Oh, really?
That was delayed because some wisecracker over at Hypnosis was making jabs at the album with sending him a picture of a tennis court.
It was originally going to be released 72.
Yep, it was recorded
Okay.
on that time as well.
Yeah, when did this album come out? 74?
1973.
73. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was it like Ireland or something? Am I crazy or?
Yeah, I think it was in Ireland. That's the
That's
other
what I'm
thing is they couldn't get enough pictures because it was raining at the time they were doing the photo shoots.
How
Oh, man.
fitting.
Wet rocks, that would suck.
It's like, Timmy, you
There's-
couldn't have written
yeah.
a song called the Sun Song?
We couldn't gotten Hot Rocks instead.
Or yeah.
Okay, so that is the background information. This album is, just before we start, I just want to say this album is like a complete 180 from Led Zeppelin 4. This is not Led Zeppelin 5. This is
No Led Zeppelin 5.
very little blues influence in this album. All kinds of what other influences, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But this album is pretty much everything in the kitchen sink. Before we begin, does anybody have just like any quick words that they would like to say about the album before we start?
This album. Oh, sorry.
Okay. I just wanted to say I admire the experimentation on this album. There's a lot of cool, diverse influences that I hadn't seen from any of the previous Zeppelin albums. It was cool they were doing something different. I do think it's a step down from Led Zeppelin 4 personally. I like some of the other albums above Houses of the Holy, but I still think there's some really good songs on here, and I can't wait to highlight the best of them.
My opinion on it, I think this is way, way better than the fourth album.
You don't say.
A lot more experimentation. To me, it's not just your typical rock and roll album. It's just, to me, it's a massive improvement. This would be my favorite album by them, but there's a particular album we're reviewing next time, and well, we'll find out. And I think this is a very close second, though. There's some amazing songs on it. There's a lot of second wasted on it. I could see where Jacob is coming from, but to me, this is a huge step up.
So we are going to get the ball rolling with track 1. The song remains the same.
Yeah, this is a really solid way to start the album. To me, it feels like the warm-up session. Some great guitar riffs, some good percussion on it. It feels like a song to get the audience hyped for what the album is going to be like. I do think this is one of the weaker songs on the album. I will say I listened to this album 3 times, and I feel like with this song I needed to hear subtitles, because without hearing subtitles, I cannot understand the word Robert Plant is saying on this song.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because of ignorance or anything, but I really.
Oh no, there's a reason. Studio trickery with some of the stuff. I'll explain that when I get to it.
Okay, but I still think it's an enjoyable song. I think the production on this song saves the song from being an otherwise mediocre filler track.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of the same way as Jacob on it. It's an okay song. I think there's some good guitar parts here. It seems like it's more of an instrumental with a little bit of singing, which I thought was odd to start the album with this song.
I know why.
To me, it's like we talked about great. All up to this point, it's like every album we're like, man, this is a great opener. And he has some iconic openers up to this point. And this is definitely like the most disappointing opener that we've gotten so far on Led Zeppelin. It's a fine song. It's not one I go back to ever, to be honest. But there's so many great songs on here anyway. So, yeah.
Okay. So it's my turn. Okay, I'm gonna give some information about this song real quick to kind of fill in what you guys were saying. So, first off, this song actually was an instrumental at first. Robert Plant and the other guys got into an argument. Robert Plant left for a few days, and then a few days shows up later at the studio, and like he goes into the recording booth, and their engineer Eddie Kramer is playing around with something. He plays the song remains the same instrumentals that the other guys have recorded, and he's like, "Oh, what's this? This is interesting." And he's Eddie Kramer says to him, "Oh yeah, this is something they've come up with called the overture." And so he's like, "Oh, I like this. Let me see if I can write down some lyrics to it." And then Jimmy Page, John Bonham, John Paul Jones, they come in and like, "What are you doing back here?" He apologizes. They make up and everything. And Eddie Kramer kind of laughs and is like, "The other guys made an instrumental while you guys were gone." And Robert Plant's like, "What?" And he starts talking about how he wants to change the song. And Jimmy Page says to him, "No, Robert, the song remains the same." And Robert Plant says, "Oh, well, if that's so, then I've got a lovely set of lyrics for you." And he writes down the lyrics to the song remains the same. But the reason why Robert Plant sounds unintelligible and high pitched is that the intense touring from Led Zeppelin 1 through 4, 69, 70, 71, 72, they've done 4 years of touring, and Robert Plant, the way he sings, really just shreds his vocal cords. So he had developed some polyps on his vocal cords. He would get a vocal surgery shortly after this album came out, but he was realizing that he couldn't quite hit the same high notes that he could, and so he decided that he was gonna have them play back the music they recorded at a lower pitch, and then he would sing, and then they'd speed it up, and it would sound higher, and that's what they did, which is why he sounds a lot higher. They do it with this one, and they do it with the Ocean as well, which is interesting because if you watch them live in Madison Square Garden in 1973, it's the same key, and he's hitting the notes perfectly. So that's kind of interesting that he sped it up. But this is one of the songs that made me check this album out because on the 50th anniversary of this album on the radio, they played 3 songs from it, and this was one of them that I'd never heard it before. I thought it was really cool. I love the guitar, like the layering of guitars, like Jimmy Page would call it his guitar army. I think that's really cool. Yeah, it's kind of weird that Robert Plant's voice is sped up, but I think it's cool because it's like, I like all the studio stuff that they're doing on this album. There's a lot more studio involvement than on the first 4 albums. The first 4 albums, it's like we're gonna play it live in the studio. This and Physical Graffiti are where they start saying like, you know what, we're gonna try doing some studio tricks here. I think it's really good. I think it's a really good song. Really great way to open the album.
I will say now, before you go to the next person, I think the more you brought this information out, I feel like this song probably would have worked better as an instrumental, but that's just my personal opinion.
Okay.
All right. So for me, in terms of my thoughts on this song, I'm actually with Scott. I actually really enjoy this opening song. I think it's a really good opening track. It's always one of the songs I actually play pretty frequently, and it's really because of the musicality of this track, I think. And Scott brought it up again. There's all these layers of guitars. You have both 6-string and you got 12-string also, and just creates this very bright, very good tone to it, which is I think is very great. And of course, Bonham's drumming again, like his drumming. I mean, throughout the whole career, his drumming has always been top notch, and this is another great example. Of course, and also I'm really paying attention to Jones's bass. Of course, his bass is very great. It has a good tone to it as well. And I will agree. I don't really understand what Robert's singing about half the time. I mean, that's really my thoughts of him in general, but that's besides the point. I think it kind of fits the tone it's going for. It has this very driving, very almost frantic sound to it, which I always dug. And I really like the guitar solo, of course. And yeah, overall, I think it's a very good opening track, and it's actually one of my favorites on the album.
If I had to rank the album openers real quick, it would be Immigrant Song as my favorite, then Whole Lot of Love, Black Dog, Good Times, Bad Times, and then Song Remains the Same.
My turn. I strongly disagree with you, Jacob and Jason. This song rocks. Black Dog sucks compared to this song.
Oh, no.
I love the sped up vocals. I will agree with everyone here. It's not audible. I don't understand jack crud of what he's saying. But it's just an amazing song. It's one of the best songs on the album. Well, it's not about to prove how great this album is. This is like towards the bottom of my list, and I think the song's epic. I guess if I had to rank all the openers, number 5 would be Black Dog. 4 would be Whole Lot of Love. Number 3 would be Good Times, Bad Times. 2 would be this song, and my favorite. I agree with Jacob. It's Immigrant Song.
Can we at least be in a whole agreement that the Immigrant Song is their best opener so far?
I agree.
Yes.
Yeah, a whole lot of love for me, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
I would say Whole Lot of Love, but that middle section could be hit or miss. Depending on
Yeah.
I have to be in the middle section, but yeah, I strongly disagree with you guys. This is one of their best openers.
Track 2, the Rain Song.
The Rain Song. I like this one. I think it's better than the last song on the album. I wouldn't say it's a top tier Zeppelin track. I think it's trying way too hard to be the next Stairway to Heaven, I feel like. But there's still some cool stuff instrument wise. I actually learned some information that I didn't know about. I didn't know there was an instrument called a mellotron until listening to this album, because when I first listened to this album, there was this really cool section that sounded like an orchestra was playing, and then Scott was telling me, "Yeah, that's not an orchestra." I'm like, "What? That's not an orchestra?" I'm like, "No, that's a mellotron." I'm like, "What the heck is a mellotron?" Some kind of this synthesized keyboard thing that you can play like different sounds on it. And John Paul Jones did that entire part, and I'm like, "This is amazing! This is the highlight on the whole album, the instrument of the mellotron." And I see why some of you guys are saying John Paul Jones is the secret sauce, because he made this song awesome.
Yes.
I think like it's not a top tier Zeppelin song. I do think it's better than Song Remains the Same, but I do think there's better songs on this album. But still pretty cool production wise.
Yeah, I'm kind of right with you there, Jacob. This song really grew on me as more times I've listened to it, the more I'm like, man, this is a cool song. Like, this is another song that I don't usually listen to that much, just because it feels like another instrumental, like not a lot of singing, just a lot of instruments. And so I usually don't listen to those songs as much as the ones that have a lot of more singing in it. But I have to say, like, I love the guitar playing. I love it's really pretty. Like, I'm like, wow, like Led Zeppelin, known for like these really hard hitting songs, or like they can write a pretty song. You know, this has like orchestra music behind it. It has a piano. I'm like, man, or I say orchestra, Mellotron, whatever. It sounds like an orchestra around it. Like, man, it's like really cool. Like, I love all the surroundings of the song. I love the dun 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 dun. Like, it's really pretty, just strumming of the guitar. And then there's this like really cool sound, like it's like this, almost like they hit a note and they turned it, and then and it like went down, and it's like such a cool like sound effect that really I think it highlights the song. And so yeah, overall I really like the song. Definitely one hidden gems I think here.
This is a top tier Zeppelin song for me. It used to be my favorite Led Zeppelin song. It was replaced again with Stairway to Heaven whenever I heard it again.
Keeps going back and forth.
Yeah, I was in the camp of Stairway to Heaven is overplayed there for a bit, and then I went through a very long spell that I hadn't heard it. Listened to it again for the 4 review and was like, oh yeah, no, I was wrong. But this is my second favorite Led Zeppelin song. I have loved this song since the first time I heard it. And I remember listening to the Houses of the Holy album. I heard the Song Remains the Same, and then I pushed pause because like I was driving somewhere. I went and got some Panda Express or something. Hopped back in the car, hit play on the Rain Song, and then was greeted with that beautiful acoustic guitar strum at the beginning. And it's in a really weird guitar tuning too. Lots of layered guitar parts, acoustic and electric. This song is actually a challenge from George Harrison, if you can believe it or not. George Harrison was hanging out with John Bonham one day, and John Bonham was like, so what do you think of Led Zeppelin? And George Harrison said, well, I think Led Zeppelin is really good, but there's one problem. You guys just don't have a really good ballad. Which he must not have heard thank you.
No.
But John Bonham was like, oh, you remember that. And John Bonham's known for having kind of a a pride like that, because there's another story where he was ranked in a magazine as a lower, like they ranked like the best drummers of all time, and Karen Carpenter was ranked higher than him. He was also at it there. He's like, I'll show you, Karen Carpenter.
I'll show you Karen Carpenter.
But he went back and was like, hey guys, George Harrison says we don't have a ballad. And Jimmy Page must have been like, oh really? Well, let's write one then. And so they came up with the Rain song. And oh my goodness, I love this song. But my favorite part about this song is what Jacob mentioned. It's that Mellotron. Oh my goodness. John Paul Jones on this song. Oh, he does two amazing things. One is the Mellotron, making it sound like a full orchestra is playing, even though it's just a keyboard. But two, the acoustic bass. He's playing an upright bass on this song, which really just adds to the atmosphere of it. I love how it starts with just the guitars, and then the Mellotron will come in. My favorite part is that instrumental section whenever John Paul Jones first comes in. It's like boom, 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 and then it hits that really like amazing chord, and then it just goes right back into boom. And then Jason mentioned earlier the part that goes like boom, boom, no, 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 no. That part is amazing. John Bonham doesn't come in for a while actually, but once he comes in, oh boy, it's like, and then they get into that boom, 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 and gets into the more rocking section. Then it goes back into the boom. I think it's funny that Jacob said that it sounds like they're trying to make the next Stairway to Heaven, because they were trying to make the next Stairway to Heaven. Robert Plant was sick of playing Stairway to Heaven over and over and over and over and over again, especially since he pretty much just wrote the lyrics to that song in 5 minutes and was like, why is this the song that everybody likes? And so he's like, well, let's when they were making the ballad, Robert Plant was like, let's make this one really good, and maybe this will be our new signature song. But this is my favorite song on the album. I love this song.
It's a ballad, so that tells you. But yeah, it's another song.
Do you like ballads, Briar?
Maybe you can say so. I'm a little bit. You can say I'm a little bit of a fan of ballads. But yeah, this is another standout song to me. Again, just a really great composition. The acoustic guitars sound really beautiful here. And again, we talked about the Mellotron a lot already. Yeah, it sounds amazing. Like, there's two things I'm a sucker for. Well, there's many things I'm a sucker for, but one of them ballads, the other one Mellotron. So I've always liked the sound of a good Mellotron. And I love, you can even hear the piano itself as well. And just again, the first half just has this cool, very chill, very calming mood to it. It almost sounds like it is raining outside. And funny enough, it was actually raining earlier today. I actually put it on and I was like, yeah, this is nice. I was on a bus, so it didn't really fit the mood, but if you close your eyes, it's perfect for that setting. But yeah, I enjoy this one a lot. Again, before I go, the drumming, once Bonham really does come in. But yeah, it's a very great song. This is another one of my favorites on here.
I love this song. Sorry, Jacob, I'm gonna have to disagree with you. I strongly disagree with you again. I think this is a top tier Led Zeppelin song. The Mellotron is so unique, just tricking my brain into thinking there's a full orchestra going on. I think this is better than Stairway, in my opinion, but I know that's where all the disagreements are going to come on. Yeah, this is yet another masterpiece. But yeah, disagree. This is a top tier Zeppelin song.
Okay, so that was track number the second. Now we're going to get into our third song, Over the Hill and Far Away.
All right. This is the song I'm the most familiar with because I've heard it on the radio before. I think this might have been the big hit off the album.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this is the first great song on the album. Especially listening to this song in context to this album and hearing the previous Zeppelin albums. This song feels like a really cool mix between the hard rock that made something like Whole Lotta Love such a great song, mixed with the folksy sounds that made Led Zeppelin 3 such a great album. So think of this song as a weird mix between Gallows Pole and Whole Lot of Love. Interesting little combination there. I like the acoustic at the beginning. I love how it transitions into the electric, and then you get John Bonham's drumming in there. It's a great driving song. You can drive, sing along, try to imitate Robert Plant. I can't do it right now because I'm dealing with a cold right now, but this is a really awesome song, and I think it's one of the best on the album.
Yeah, I'm total agreement with Jacob. So far, these first 3 songs, I feel like me and Jacob are agreeing the most, and everybody else is disagreeing with us. Probably not in this song, but at least so far, it's like, man, it's me and Jacob versus everybody.
If anybody doesn't like this song, what's wrong with you?
But this is top tier Led Zeppelin for sure. As we use that word. I love the song because it starts off with that great acoustic guitar. I love the acoustic guitar beginning with just him and like Robert Plant, and it's like, oh, this is another ballad. It's funny, up to this point, it's like we haven't had a really good rock song into this album yet. It's been a little more softer, and you get to this song, you're like, oh, another okay ballad. Like, this is cool. This sounds good, And then all of a sudden they get to that, it's too much. It's too much. I feel like Led Zeppelin keeps doing this to me. I'm like, oh, this is cool. And then all of a sudden, oh, wait a minute, they tricked me. Like, it's not a ballad, it's a rock song now. And it's like, okay, I'm in for both. Like, I love the dynamics there. And I don't think anybody does it better than Led Zeppelin. I can't think of another band that hits you with the acoustic guitar song and then hits you with this amazing rock song. And then Robert Plant's voice just goes up, many times we done, many times we bum 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 bum. And you're like, wow, the Robert Plant's voice is amazing. He's kicking the high gear, the drums are kicking it in, the guitar, and it's like, man, I love it. It's one of my favorite Led Zeppelin songs.
Yeah, this song is, as you guys mentioned before, top tier Led Zeppelin. I think this is one that we're all going to agree on. I know we were a little divisive on some of the other songs, but I love the acoustic guitar at the beginning. It's in a really weird, odd time signature, and it comes in, it starts out, there's just one, but then there's another, like, I think a 12 string comes in later on, and then we get that singing. This song sounds like a folk song to start out. It sounds like something straight out of Lord of the Rings or something, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, the lyrics were based on a song from Lord of the Rings. I might be wrong, though. Many times I listen, many times I've been out on the open road. My terrible Robert Plant impression. My favorite line, I don't even remember what it is, but or should I say where it comes in the song right off the top of my head, but it's he sings like, I've got a pocket full of gold. Now this is where a lot of people get critical of Jimmy Page, is whenever they do it live, because he doesn't play it exactly like he does on the record live. He likes to make something up live so that he does something different every time. And I will say, whenever he plays this song live, it can get a little bit sloppy, but I'm not going to say he's a bad guitar player because he's just trying to come up with something off the top of his head. But for me, he's not going to be able to top the studio recording because it sounds like he's playing a violin or something.
Do you think he's a better studio musician than a live musician?
I think he's good both ways. Okay. It's just his playing in the studio and his playing live are very different. In the studio, he's very technical. He'll do several takes until he gets the guitar solo to sound just right. But then live, he's more spontaneous. They tend to extend their songs longer.
Yeah, they're very spontaneous, aren't they?
A song that's like 3 minutes in the studio will be like 15 minutes live sometimes. Just
they like
get a good
the jam.
Like Dazed and Confused goes from like 5 minutes to 25 minutes when they did it live. Well, because we got that violin bow solo thing in the middle. But I will say, man, I do kind of prefer the studio sound. A lot of people will probably hate me for saying that. It's like, what? You gotta love the spontaneity of the. I think that really they rehearsed and did take after take until they got this to sound absolutely perfect. Actually, thinking about it now, I've heard someone describe it as the studio song is the song, but then they expand upon the song when they do it live. It's an expansion. The song's an idea they expand upon when they do it live.
All right. So I know we predicted everyone's going to like the song.
Yeah.
And you be 100% right. Yeah, this is another terrific song. Like 3 songs in a row. Yeah, another classic here. I've read that this actual song dates back to Led Zeppelin 3, like an early version dates back to that period, but they brought it back here. But yeah, I mean, everyone here has said it perfectly. I don't have much else to add, but yeah, it just has a very cool acoustic guitar lick to start it off. Just hooks you in right away. And of course, we talked about when it just switches up, when Bonham just kicks it in the drums. That's just a awesome moment. Like you're just in for it. And again, Robert Plant just really steps it back up, really showing just his rawness. I still don't know what he says some most of the time, but it still sounds awesome. Like I give it a pass. But yeah, it's just very catchy. The guitar playing on here is fantastic, and I love how towards the end it kind of mellows back out a little bit. It kind of brings you back down. Little chill way to end it off, but still very, very good way to close it off. So yeah, it's another highlight.
Well, I'm just I could say what everyone else is saying, but I'm just gonna go back to I hear the acoustic guitar. I'm like, what is this like? Is this like a Led Zeppelin 3 outtake? I heard the ba-da-ba-dum, ba-da-ba-dum, ba-da-bum, ba-bum, bum, ba-da-ba-bum, ba-da-bum, ba-bum, ba-bum, with the good, like for me I love the drumming part at the beginning, but the other hard part, but I like the da-da-da-da. My favorite line is definitely with a pocket full of you.
Let's move on to our next song. Ooh.
The biggest meme that we have, or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
The Crunge.
The Crunge. Where do I begin with the Crunge?
Yeah.
It has more of a funk influence. And the whole time, I think it's clearly inspired by James Brown. And Robert Plant is doing a kind of sort of impression of James Brown. And to be honest, the first time I was listening to the song, I'm like, this is a weird song. Hey, I want to know where's the bridge? Where's the bridge at? And then the other guy's like, where's that confounded bridge? And then that ends the song. I was like, what? The more I've heard this song, the more I think it's a great song. I saw that Rolling Stone, everyone's favorite music magazine, said this was one of the biggest embarrassments of their career. James Brown has some amazing music, and paying homage to James Brown works for them in this case. And even with the abrupt ending, I think this song is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm I'm kind of with you on the first part of your review there, and then maybe not the last part, but yeah, I'm saying the same thing. This song is so strange and weird when you get to it. It's like, this does not sound like Led Zeppelin to me. I'm like, I don't know what this is. Like it's so out there. It just sticks out from the whole album when you listen to it, and you're like, well, I don't get the song. And you say James Brown, and I'm not a James Brown fan. I don't like funk music at all. Like you give me a funk music thing, and I'm like, I'm not into it. Like, so this is like them doing my least favorite artist and genre. And so I'm like, why are you doing this to me? The guitar playing is great. Like it's still got some good stuff. It's still upbeat. There's still some good stuff here. It's like maybe it would grow on me if I listen to it more. It could be like one of those songs where I'm like, one day I'm like, I kind of like it. Right now I'm like, it's not one I really want to go back to personally.
This song is extremely weird, and I'm all for it. So, Jason, I totally respect your opinion on this song. This song is not for everybody. But for me, I love it whenever Led Zeppelin is just like, we're not going to let anybody know our next move. This song is so funky. The first time I ever heard this song was on the radio. Yes, I kid you not. I heard the Crunge on the radio. And whenever it got to that end, which I'll talk about later, I was like, is that how the song ends? That's hilarious. And I was like, for the longest time, what song was that? I want to hear that song again. The one with Where's the Bridge? And I found it was this one. And when I got to, I was so excited. Like, I found the Where's the Bridge song. I found the bridge. But speaking of that ending, one of the funniest moments in Led Zeppelin's discography is James. If you don't know, the joke is that James Brown in his songs would always say, "Take me to the bridge" whenever you got to the and so Robert Plant goes, "Take me, take me, take me," but then they just keep on going. Excuse me,
to the bridge.
Excuse me, have you seen the bridge? Have you seen the bridge? I'm just trying to find the bridge. Have you seen the bridge? I'm trying to find the bridge. Where's that confounded bridge? And it just cuts out and stops right there.
Okay.
I'm like,
that makes sense.
that is hilarious.
That's
and
funny.
I'm very sad if people think that this is the worst song Led Zeppelin has ever done when Hats Off to Roy Harper is a thing.
This song is very stupid,
Yes, it is.
but I enjoy it because of how stupid it is.
Spoiler, same with Hot Dog.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like a few of us have said, it's a very fun song. It's a song you really can't take that seriously. You're just like, okay, we're doing this. It's funny when I read about the original concept of it, because this came out from a jam session, and I think the original concept of this song is, let's try and make a dance song, but yet make it so complex it's impossible to dance to. Can't really hate it. It's too. They're having fun, so might as well have fun as well.
I heard this before Scott did, and I heard this before Jason did. I heard this before Jacob did. I don't know if I said Jacob twice. Jacob and Jason. I thought it was amazing. First listen, I thought the song. So we're 5 for 6 on this. This song is awesome. When I first heard this, I'm like, this has to be one of their like most known songs. This song is so epic. It's like so different. It's so weird. I love it so much. What trying to find the bridge. Where's that confounded bridge? Trying to find the bridge. Where's that confounded bridge?
Hopefully we cut this out.
Where's that
I remember too.
So like side one ends like that. I'm like how do they do that? Like how do they like how does Led Zeppelin all collectively think that? I think it's so unique.
We flipped the record. It's time for Dancing Days.
I think it's a catchy track. I like the guitar riff on it. Probably one of the more simplistic songs on the album. But I don't mean that in a bad way. I think this is an enjoyable track. I like the longing for nostalgia that Robert Plant evokes in the song. It feels like a very relatable song about summer love. And I debate on whether this song or another song is in my top 5 on this album, but I think it's a pretty good song. I'll just leave it at that.
Cool.
Yeah, it's funny. Like when I first listened to this album, when we did a ranking. I don't know if that was a year ago when we did a ranking on Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, it was close, not quite a year ago, but a few months ago.
Yeah, and that's like the first time I really listened to this album, because I was listening to all the albums really for the first time, except for a couple I've heard before. But just to do this ranking, and yeah, this is one I got to, and so when I had to go back to this album for this review, I didn't remember Dancing Days, and that happens to me because I listen to so many albums. If I go, and I'm listening to so many new albums for the first time, so if I go back to an album, a lot of times I'll be like, I don't remember this song. Obviously the big ones, I'm like, okay, I remember these songs because I listened to them since I was a kid. But if I get to this song, I'm like, what song is this? And then I was listening to the album and I got to this song. I'm like, oh, this song's amazing. Like I don't know how I forgot this song. And it was one that I was like, wow, this is such a good song. And like, I have to, now I have to remember the song next time and I won't forget it again, because it kind of took me by surprise when I got to the song. I was like, whoa, what is this? Because I don't know that it's a big hit song for them or anything that anybody talks about, but it's like to me it's like one of those deep cut hidden gems to me. But as he's singing, I love that the guitar riff kind of goes throughout the whole song, and then you'll hear little guitar solos throughout the song. Or like, geez, like he's doing like their guitar riff and these guitar solos at the same time. Like it just works so well together, and that's what Led Zeppelin does so well, is guitar riffs and guitar solos put together. But yeah, I think it's definitely one of the best ones on here.
Yeah, this song is amazing. A little bit of Eastern influence here. Yeah, this is another one of the songs that they played that introduced me to this album on the radio that day. When they played the 3 songs, I was like, okay, time to check this album out. But very, very, very good song.
Yeah, it's a solid song. I do like it. This one, and I do agree with Jacob, it's definitely the most straightforward song. It's not the most complex out of the rest of the songs here. And I guess because of that, for me, it kind of ranked at the bottom, because comparatively, there wasn't a whole lot that made it stood out aside from the riff. Because every other song on this album I can remember very easily. Like I remember exactly what it sounds like. With this song, aside from the riff, I don't remember much else from it. And I listened to this album right before we recorded, and I only remember bits of it. Um, Again, it's not mean it's a bad song. I still like it, but again, comparatively to me, it just kind of didn't really stand out. So that's just my take on it.
This is a really good song on the album. I will agree with Jacob and Briar. This is probably the more simplistic songs on this album, but I think the song's amazing. It's such a catchy song, you know. Ah, dancing days are here again.
Yeah.
And you can't listen to the ba-na-na-na-na, ba-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na without it getting stuck in your head. If we were doing a track versus track like this album for like right now, it'd be 5-0 right now.
Okay, so the next song was the single released from this album. I'm gonna try to pronounce this correctly. Jamaica.
Okay.
Well, yeah, this is an interesting song. This is one of 3 songs I had heard from this album before actually listening to the album in full. For the longest time, I had no idea what the title was a reference to.
Oh, me either. Yeah, I was
It
like,
said Dire Maker.
do you make her? What?
I have no idea what that is. It was Scott who informed me. Oh, it's a play on the term Jamaica, and the song was written as a joke because when the British say Jamaica, it sounds like Jamaica or something like that. And so they're trying to do this reggae style song, and you know, I defend the Crunge. They do something different on that song, and I actually enjoyed the effort on that one. That one's a load of fun. But I'm sorry, I have never gotten the love for Jamaica at all. Rolling Stone, and their negative review of this album, they said there were 2 songs on this album that they thought were big embarrassments to their careers. The first was The Crunge, the other was Jamaica. Now, I'm not as harsh as Rolling Stone. I don't think it's an outright embarrassment. That title goes to Hats Off to Roy Harper. I think that song is still way worse. Yeah, the song just never really. The song just never really been my thing. It's no surprise. It's my least favorite song on the album. I think it's probably my second to least favorite Led Zeppelin song at this point.
Jeez Louise, man, this is like Helplessly Hoping all over again. What is going on?
This is Jamaica. This is Roy Harper.
Okay, good. Jamaica needs some defense.
Man, that threw me for a loop hearing that.
For once, Jason actually likes the reggae song.
I get the feeling Over the Hills and Far Away is the only song we're all going to agree on, because I feel like we're all disagreeing on everything else. Briar, his Helplessly Hoping comment, it was the most shocking thing I've ever heard in my life. Nick's comment about Stairway to Heaven is probably the second most shocking thing, and then Jamaica is probably the third most shocking thing I've heard in my life. And I remember hearing the song as a kid because it was on the radio quite a bit, on the 70s station, you know, that I used to listen to as a teenager. And I always just loved the song. I was always like, man, it's so catchy. It's so fun. I love the vocals, love the guitar on here. And I didn't even know this was a Led Zeppelin song for a long time. And then when I was like, oh, this is Led Zeppelin? Like, because I don't think of them doing this style, you know? And I was like, wow, they make me love Led Zeppelin even more. I'm like, man, this is awesome. Like, they can do this song and make it really cool. Like, I love the oh, 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 I don't want to go. Like, I love that. That melody is so good. It just stays in my brain. I love it. I'm just, man, it's so good. It's one of my favorite Led Zeppelin songs. It's in my top 10, maybe my top 5 favorite Led Zeppelin song. One that I listen to over and over again. It just gets stuck in my head and I can't get it out, and for good reasons. Anyway, so that's my take.
Well, let me just say, there is definitely one of you that I agree with more. Jason. So I really like this song. It's super infectious. Like the drumming, John Bonham's drumming on this.
Oh, great drumming. Yeah.
And the guitar boom 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 boom. I don't know. I just love that every song on this album is just completely different than every other song on this album.
That's
You
very
got
true.
funk, you got reggae, you got rock, folk. Well, we got some borderline progressive rock coming up on the next track. Like, you got everything you want on this album. And I just love all the different styles on here, even this one. Like, do I think Led Zeppelin should have done another reggae song? No. But it works here for this one. And I really like that about this song. Apparently, this is a song that they just recorded once in the studio and never played live, which is kind of interesting considering it's one of their big songs. But
Yeah.
So where do I land? Do I side with the side that loves it, or do I side with the ones that don't like it? They're neither.
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 I'm kind of split on it
Okay.
because there are things I do like about it. Because with reggae, of course, you have great grooves on it, and of course, again with reggae, you have some great bass lines. The only thing is that reggae's never been one of my go-to genres. I like it, but I need to be in the right mood for it if I want to listen to some reggae. I like some Bob Marley here and there, but again, not something I go to very often. Um, but again, when Led Zeppelin do reggae, it's fine. I don't mind it at all. Yeah, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I don't love it either. It's never been one of my favorites. But there's definitely some good stuff in it that I really do like. Again, the melody itself is pretty memorable. Like, yeah, I agree with Jason. Like, you hear that melody, and yet it totally stays in your head. So I definitely give it that, and I definitely think it's a lot more memorable than uh, what was that? What was the last song again? Dancing Days. I think that's way more memorable in my opinion.
Me. When I first heard the song, it was from my dad's rock playlist. He has a playlist of classic rock songs, and I loved it the first listen. I thought it was a really good song. Um, do I still think that? Or am I on Jacob's side? Well, I strongly disagree with Jacob. The song is awesome still. The song holds up really well. Again, I'm 5 for 6 on this one. This song is it's such a good song.
Okay, good.
It's one of those songs where I'm with Jason. This song is amazing. It's one of those songs that gets stuck in your head, baby, I love you.
Yeah.
I love this song. I really do. It's funny because for the longest time, my favorite song on this album was Over the Hills. But now that I've been thinking about it, this is probably my second favorite song on the album.
No quarter.
I'm gonna come out and say it. This is my favorite song on the album. From the really cool piano part, which it does sound like who's doing the piano part? Is it John Paul Jones? It sounded like he was playing it underwater. I don't know how he did that effect, but it's amazing. More hanging out with you guys, the more I'm getting into, because this does have a prog rock sound because it's very
yeah.
experimental. There's a lot of extended like guitar parts. The song is long; it's about 8 minutes long, but there's a lot of amazing stuff in it. The piano in it, the guitar part that comes in, Robert Plant's vocals. I'm not really sure what the lyrics invoke, but I know
Vikings.
Thor's reference, so I guess it involves Norse mythology and that type of stuff.
It's about
but
Vikings and preparing for
Vikings and
battle.
stuff, kind of like the immigrant song.
Yeah, kind of like the immigrant song part 2.
Yeah, but I think the song is really cool. I'm usually not the one to say that a deep cut is my favorite song on an album. That's usually Nick. I'm usually like the big hit song is usually my favorite song on the album, but yeah, I'm actually gonna pull a Nick. This song is really amazing. It's one of their best deep cuts that I've discovered to date.
When the hit song is Jamaica, he had no other choice.
All right. Do you guys have any prediction of where I would be on this song?
Well, I know it's not
It's
too
slow and it's too well. It's not bluesy, but it's too long, and I'm assuming you're
Too
good.
proggy.
Is it better than the Crunge at least?
No, this is the worst song on the album. You guys like the song? I don't get it. I'm confounded.
It's the
by
helplessly hoping moment for you.
how anybody
This
can
is
like
the
this song.
hopelessly
It's so
hoping moment.
boring. It bores me to tears.
No,
I can listen to the
No.
this song.
This is the vital signs of
I have to
the
skip the
song.
song when I get to it.
no. We're still with you, even though we disagree with you.
I'm
And
yeah. I'm the only one who
uh,
thinks that. I
yeah.
can't believe it. This song is, oh my god. Huh.
So my thoughts on this song. The first time I heard it, I'm like, what the heck is this song? It's got some weird effects on his voice and whatever. And it's because I wasn't really listening to the song. I was just like, what is this? When I got over the initial shock of what is this, I listened to it again, and it's like, is that an underwater piano? Which is it's a theme that we're gonna have. But John Paul Jones's keyboard playing on this is top notch. And this and the Rain song are his songs on this album. And like the moody atmosphere, and then you get ring when that chord comes in, so epic, and then that heavy riff. Close the door, turn out the lights. Kind of the extension of the immigrant song about the Vikings going off to battle. They hold no quarter, which means that basically means they're ruthless. I think it's amazing. There we go.
All right. Okay, so for me, yep, I like this. I really do enjoy this song a lot. Apparently, this song kind of dates back to the last album, Led Zeppelin 4. Traces of it was kind of formed around this time, but this was basically Jones's baby here. Like, he was the main guy composing this, and it definitely shows with the keyboard intro. And when I hear the intro, I get very strong Pink Floyd vibes from it. It almost sounds like Echoes. Like, it has a very similar
Yeah.
vibe to it. If you hear the beginning of Echoes in this, it's a very similar vibe. Yeah, this is a really big highlight for me. So yeah, no quarter. And I don't have quarters right now, so I'm broke.
I love this song from the very beginning. I'm with Jacob on this. I love this song. This is a masterpiece. Yeah, I actually, after thinking about it, my song ranking. I had an idea of what my song ranking of this album was gonna be, but now that I'm thinking about the song, it has changed. As in, the song did not remain the same.
We've done 4 already, and now we're steady, and now they go 1, 2, 3.
Oh, what's funny is with the title, I thought I'd never heard this song before, and then I listened to it. I'm like, okay, I have heard this song on the radio before. I recognize it as soon as Robert Plant started singing "Standing in the Sunshine, Laughing in the Rain." I'm like, oh, I've heard this. I've actually heard this. Okay. Yeah, I think it's a really strong album closer. The guitar riff is excellent. It's very memorable. Robert Plant, you mentioned it was apparently sped up. I didn't feel like it was sped up. It didn't feel near as distorted as it was on Song Remains the Same. I can at least understand what he's saying on this song. There's some really cool instrumentation on here. This is one weird part at the end where like the style changes and it almost sounds like you're at a carnival at the end of the song, which is kind of it's kind of neat. I think it's trying to subvert expectations a little bit. I think it does feel like a step down though compared to how amazing the last album closer was, When the Levee Breaks. I think I'll rank the album closers real fast. When the Levee Breaks is still my favorite album closer. And then Bring It On Home from 2 is my second favorite. I'd put The Ocean at number 3, and then How Many More Times, and then easily the worst closer is Boy Crap.
I forgot about that
one.
Oh,
Yeah,
if Hey Hey What Can I Do were the closer, where would you rank that?
number 2 behind When the Levee Breaks.
Yeah, I would venture to say this is probably my favorite closer. of any Led Zeppelin album that I've heard so far that I can remember. It's an awesome rock song. It's another just top tier Led Zeppelin rock song. It's why I love listening to Led Zeppelin. I love that guitar riff. As you guys we've already gone through that. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, it's just so good. The guitar is just amazing throughout. It's just the drumming is amazing throughout. Everything. It's like it's another like one of my favorite Led Zeppelin songs on here. There's like 3 Led Zeppelin songs are like maybe top 10 Led Zeppelin, like so good. And I don't know, this is my take when I was listening to this album this last time, is like, if I was to do this album, if I was in charge of resequencing this album, I would put The Ocean as the opener, because I think it would have been a great opener, because I think it's the best rock song.
The song totally rocks. I love the riff. I love the count in from John Bonham. Boom, boom, boom. And the drumming. Not just the drumming, but like the sound that they put on the drumming to make it sound huge. The production choices, Robert Plant's high-pitched vocals, whatever the is in the background. And I do like whenever they change it up at the end. I think it's cool. And then Robert Plant says my exact thoughts on this album as the last line. Oh, it's so good. That's my exact thoughts about this album. Oh, it's so good. This album is so good. And I do think The Ocean is a great way to end the album.
Yeah, I agree. This is a pretty good, solid way to go out. Again, we already talked about the riff. The riff is fantastic, and drumming on here is great. And one thing I found out what the ocean actually means, it's supposed to be a metaphor for, their audience. The phrase, look at that sea of people out there. Like seeing all those people just at their shows is just, I don't know, it just left an impact on my, but yeah. And yeah, there's so many different cool switch ups in this one. Like briefly, there's like a brief a cappella break for Robert Plant to just kind of sing on his own.
Yeah.
And then it switches again. You have like a almost 50s style rock and roll feel as the song goes out. Yeah, it's a really good rock song, and a very good way to close out the album.
I'm kind of ending the like I'm like I kind of agree with everyone. I'm not gonna say the song's bad. Like I'm gonna say we all agree the song's good at least, but I don't know. Compared to the other 7 songs, it's probably the weakest song on the album. There's some really good parts of it. I love the end part where they're just going at it, and I like the acapella part, but to me, the first part of the song is just okay, besides the John Bonham counting. I don't know. This has never been one of my favorite songs by them, and I don't know. That's like, this song is probably one of the main reasons why this album is my favorite album by them. It's good. I think it's really good, but it's not one of my favorites by them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that is Houses of the Holy by Led Zeppelin. Let's go ahead. I'm not going to spotlight anybody anymore, but we're going to go through and we're going to do the top 5 songs on the album.
I'll go first. Well, I'll go first because I'm actually gonna rank all the songs, because to me this top 5 thing is not good enough for this album. That's how good it is. Number 8, The Ocean. It's good, but I think the other 7 are better. Number 7, The Song Remains the Same. Number 6, Dancing Days. Number 5, The Rain Song. Number 4, this shocked me. Like, after thinking about the things, I'm like, Over the Hills and Far Away is number 4.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. Number 4.
Number 3, Jamaica. Number 2, No Quarter. And number 1, The Crime.
I think I'm going to go with Nick. I think I'm going to rank all 8 because there's only 8 songs. At the bottom, No Contest, Jamaica. Not a fan of that song.
Naturally.
Number 7, The Song Remains the Same. 6 and 5 are kind of interchangeable. And this is going to be a last-minute change, but I think I'm going to put it in my top 5 because it's a little more memorable to me. But my number 6 is going to be Dancing Days, and number 5, The Rain Song, mainly for the Mellotron. Number 4, I'm going with the Crunge.
He put the Crunge over the Rain.
Yeah, I like
Okay,
it.
okay.
This is
Number
wild.
three,
This whole ranking thing.
number three is the ocean. Number two, over the hills and far away, and number one, no quarter.
Okay,
Um,
I'm gonna rank all 8 of them as well. Number 8 is going to be Dancing Days. Number 7. 7 and 6 are the ones that I'm iffy about. For now, number 7 will be The Song Remains the Same. Number 6 is going to be Jamaica. 5 is The Ocean. Yes, number 4 is The Crunge. Number 3, I'm probably going to be the one who has this song the lowest. Over the Hills and Far Away. Number 2.
Yeah, no, actually, I did. I had it at number 4.
he had 4, yeah.
Okay. Number 3 was that. Number 2, No Quarter, and number 1, The Rain Song.
Wow. So no quarter is pretty high up.
Now
on that.
let me say I was that close to actually putting No Quarter at number 1, but I'm like, no, it's The Rain Song.
8 is by far the no quarter song. It's
Oh.
number 8 on the list. And it's not even close. It's not even close. Oh my god. Okay.
He did the thing again.
Whoa.
Number 7, The Crunge, and that's not even close. It's by far the 2 worst on here. For me. Number 6 is remains the same. Number 5. All right, now we get to the good stuff here. Number 5, The Rain Song. Number 4, Dancing Days. Yeah. Number 3, The Ocean. Number 2, Jamaica. And number 1, Over the Hills and Far Away.
I'm just gonna do my top 5 to
Okay.
just build more suspense.
Okay.
So, number 5 is The Crunge.
Hey,
Hey,
is The Crunge in everyone's top 5 other than Jason's?
Yeah, I think so. Pretty
Yeah.
sure. No Quarter and Crunge is like everybody's top 5.
Yep. Number 4, The Rain Song. Number 3, Over the Hill and Far Away. 2, The Song Remains the Same. No Quarter.
Hold the phone because we still got to give it a score out of 10.
Okay, I think I'll go first. Well, I'm not going to give it a 10 out of 10 like I did Led Zeppelin 4. The main reason it's not getting a 10, Song Remains the Same is just okay at best. And then Dancing Days, I think, is solid, but it's far from their best. And even like the Rain Song, which barely made it into my top 5, I would consider it a top tier song. I would say probably 4 out of the 8 songs are like amazing top tier Led Zeppelin songs. The main reason I have the score that I'm going to give it is because I really dislike Jamaica. But I still think it's a good album. I'm going to say I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10.
No, you
I
rank the
think
Rolling Stones now higher than Houses of the Holy.
I think it's still a good album.
Wow.
I prefer, even though I gave it the same rating as the album cut of Led Zeppelin 3, I think the 9 songs in 3, aside from Roy Harper, is a much stronger album than Houses of the Holy as a whole. But there's still some really good stuff on this album, and even though I don't think it's as good as some of their other albums, I think there's still some great stuff on it that really makes it worth a listen.
Okay, I'll give my score. I think it's a perfect album. I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. Despite thinking the ocean, for me thinking the ocean's probably an okay song, I still think the strength of the other 7 songs, especially the songs that are in my top 5, are just, to me, it's just Led Zeppelin, like, in their peak. Like these top 5 songs and the songs that are on the next album, to me, is just like, I don't know, I just felt like Led Zeppelin were just like, they were like at their like peak. They were making just perfect music. They were at their awesomeness. Like if Led Zeppelin made like 3 or 4 more albums like these 2 albums, I feel like they would be my favorite band of all time. But I feel like they only really got their creativity on these 2 albums. But I still think they're one of the best bands ever. But if they would have made albums like this, like House of the Holy and Physical Graffiti. I would even bump them up over the Who. That's how great these two albums are. But it's just, to me, there are some albums that I feel like it's just okay. Like, I know everyone loves 4. I think it's an okay album. Presence is also just an okay album.
Oh yeah, no, that one is.
Led Zeppelin 1 and 2 are a little bit more on the simplistic side, which kind of hurts it for me. I think they're great albums, but to me, like when people tell me Who versus Led Zeppelin, I will always say the Who.
Okay, so I'm probably the only person here who like this is their favorite Led Zeppelin album, and I'm gonna give it the big double-digit number. It's a 10 out of 10 for me. I like all 8 of these songs, and at least half the album would probably be in my top 10 Led Zeppelin songs. I'm gonna have to think very hard about what my top 10 Led Zeppelin songs are because there's too many good ones to.
Aren't we gonna do a top 10 at the end of the series? Kind of like what I do.
Yes, but
It's a good idea.
we're just gonna like. I think we should just like list it off rather than spend a lot of time talking about
Oh
it.
yeah, I know that, but like, yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, the last episode I want to do is ranking the albums and top 10 songs.
Okay.
But yeah, 10 out of 10. This is my favorite Led Zeppelin album.
All right, I guess I'll go with mine. Yeah, when I first listened to this album, when we did our album ranking, I gave it an 8.5 out of 10 at the time. And then Scott bought me this album that I have over here. Very generous. And so I remember I was listening to this album on my record player, and obviously like my top 3 are like some of the best Led Zeppelin. I think some of my favorite Led Zeppelin songs ever. So obviously those are going to be high up. I'm like, okay, I really love this. And what really kind of hit me was when I got to Dancing Days and like the Rain song, and I was like, wait a minute, these are really good. Like I forgot about these songs. And after listening to it, I was like, I got to bump this score up. So I'm bumping up to a 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
Right. Sweet. Yeah, for me, I'm gonna go a little bit higher than Jason. I'm gonna go a 9.25. So
That's good.
yes. I know.
You beat me again. That's good.
I know. Let's keep the train going. Anyhow, but yeah, this has always been a favorite, one of my favorites by them. I think as of now, like we haven't gone to the other albums yet, but as of now, this is probably my second favorite Led Zeppelin album.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a lot of good variety on here. Again, we've talked about there's so many unexpected turns this one goes, and it definitely keeps you on your toes, which I enjoy. I've always enjoyed albums that always change things up. It doesn't stay the same thing the whole time. It's always like mixing things up, keeping things fresh, and that's what I enjoy about this one. But yeah, 9.25 for me.
So I'm so looking forward to next video because we'll be talking about in my opinion, the greatest Led Zeppelin album ever. That's Physical Graffiti. That just every song on it's great to me, and it's so much variety. It's like I know that's gonna be an album review that me and Jason are definitely gonna be the most of High Savant.
I was gonna say, I think we're gonna be very divisive on that album.
Yeah, because there's gonna be a lot of bluesy songs. Some of it,
long bluesy songs. In My Time of Dying, cough.
And it's so long, that album, because it's a double album. Yeah.
To me, if you ask me which one's better, Physical Graffiti or the White Album, I'd be like, no competition, Physical Graffiti.
Yeah.
With an album that has Revolution 9 on it, to me, that makes it an easy choice.
I like most of the songs on there, but we'll save those opinions for that album.
Yeah.
Oh, there's the windows. Okay.
And you got
I'm not liking that easy. Butter.
Bob Dylan ripoff. Okay, so thank you guys for watching. We will see you on the next episode, Physical Graffiti, which may or may not be a 2-part episode. We're just gonna have to see how the video turns out. But thank you guys for watching a very divisive episode. It was really fun making it. Remember, music is art, and art is expression. See you guys.